What's going on, everybody? We back again with a Make It Your Own podcast. I'm your host, Marc, Blair. This is my guy right here, Jeremiah Abu-Bakr, and we also brought a special guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody on who you are, man?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Munson with A-Frame Building Cunsultants. We provide inspection services and environmental remediations and abatements.
Yes, sir. Munson with A-Frame Building Cunsultants. And we just wanted to bring, this is where Make It Your Own podcast is where we bring dope people on who's doing dope things out here in the DMV area, just to even talk about, add value to the people that's out here that's understanding everybody's in the real estate space. So I just wanted to take a few minutes out, and Jeremiah and I wanted to take a few minutes out just to kind of chop it up with you a little bit and, you know, see what brought you to this whole empire of A-Frame. So let's start there. You know, you just introduce yourself, but tell us how you even got to this part. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, I'm a former real estate appraiser, and when the market crashed in '08, I got out the business because of real estate appraisers having to use management companies in order to, you know, flourish, create business. A buddy of mine, a good friend of mine, wanted me to be a home inspector, wanted me to work with him. And I was a little leery because the industry was going south at that time. The market had crashed. So I didn't feel as though that it was going to ever go back up. So I became real disinterested in real estate. After about 2-3 years of him continuously asking me, one day I was at work because I was a case manager, and they just kept changing the rules and everything. So I just, in the middle of the meeting, I just upset, you know what, I quit.
Middle of the
middle of the staff meeting.
No planning, no, you ain't planning, you ain't starting.
I'm spontaneous, wow. You know what I'm saying? I bet on myself for the most part. That's how I've always been. But at that time, I didn't even care. I went outside, called him. I said, man, how much you gonna pay me? I work. Okay. So he was like, how much you need? I said, man, give me $500 a week. He was like, what? That's you sure? I was like, yeah. I didn't know about the home inspection industry. Like, I didn't even know it was one inspection. I was like, man, give me $500. I got a little money saved. Give me $500. Yeah. He was like, all right. Yeah. So started hanging with him, and of course he had me doing the simple stuff, checking outlets, checking windows and things like that. But then when I'm hearing him talk to people, I'm like, man, you sound like a genius. You know. So one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I became licensed in environmental first, doing mold remediations and lead, and then I took the test and I became an inspector. Okay. And I still didn't know anything, but every time I heard him talk, I was like, I never read that stuff I'm hearing you say. You sound like Jesus of this. Right. So he was like, nah, man, just come from learning. I was like, no, there's no way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's no way. So one day I was over his house. I was in the basement. He tossed a book downstairs, and I looked at it, and I was like, this is everything he be saying. I was like, inspectors don't know this. So he was like, I know. And then that just catapulted me to where I am now. Okay. You know, we worked together for years, and then we just had a differences of the minds, and I created my own company, you know, 11 years after the fact. Okay. And it's been going well since.
So how long you have your company now?
I had a year and a half now.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
A year and a half now. Okay. Year and a half now. I've been with A-Frame Building Cunsultants. Okay. Yeah.
So let's talk about home inspections, right? Because you're a home inspector. As everybody's in the real estate space, investors. So investors, your client, home buyers, all this kind of stuff. Is having a home inspection? Can anybody just use anybody? Like, just because you have a home inspection, what's the difference between like A-Frame versus, or how, question is better, how can people make a decision to pick the correct home inspector versus somebody out there, because there's so many people that are out there?
Well, how I look at it, as how I brand it myself, is I find out what everyone else is doing, and I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. Okay. You know, because everybody's doing the same thing. Right. I don't care what avenue you travel, everybody's doing the same thing. But what makes you stand out? Right. What makes you different from the next person that someone should select you? Right. And that's how I market and brand myself. What am I doing differently? But the only way you'll know that is by word of mouth, or to actually utilize the services. Right. So you have inspectors who charge a specific price because they want volume. Right. But you're selling yourself short. because your work should speak for itself. I write every report as if it's going to pass the hands of at least 10 to 20 people.
Okay.
So if my report stands out, someone's going to see it. And then they're going to call, they're going to say, hey, I want this guy to work for my client.
Right.
But, you know, because real estate agents, I believe you give them 3 selections of who to select. But if someone's...
But you're supposed to.
You're supposed to. But a lot of times they say, hey, this guy here, I've seen his work, or I work with him, and this is what they provide. But you can use these guys if you like. So it's actually on them because they're paying.
Right.
And a lot of times people call, they want to know your price. But they don't know what they get. They don't know your expertise. They don't know your knowledge. They don't know your knowledge base. You know, so ultimately it's on the person, the individual, to make that selection. And until you get that experience, then you won't really know. Unless you know somebody to say, hey, this is the person I go with. And this is why. So
it sounds like what separates you, I guess one of the things you just said, what separates you is your report, how you report. Or is there something else?
Or it's knowledge for that.
Knowledge base.
Knowledge
base.
Which is why this business is a referral-based business, real estate period, whether it be me as a real estate agent or an inspector, you as a broker. It's a referral-based business. So when you do good business and then you know what you're doing, word of mouth is going to take place. People are going to speak on you, which is why Jason finds himself here on real estate. At the end of the day, when you see value in somebody and their work over a period of time, it's easy to recommend a person like Jason.
Yeah, and then you got to think too. A lot of times, and you have what I've learned is people become offended, like when they get callbacks. I don't.
What you mean,
like say you inspect the property, and then a person call you, they irate, they say, hey, my water heater leaking, or something of that nature. So a person said, you didn't inspect my water heater. The plumber said you should have said this, you should have said that. So a lot of times people get offended. And they,
as far as the sellers,
the buyers, the buyers get offended.
The buyers get offended when you do it. So you're saying you
I'm sorry. The inspector would get offended because they had the callback.
Oh, they have a callback from the buyer.
Yeah. See, I don't take nothing personal when it comes to business because it's not personal to me.
Right.
You know, I don't have no vested interest in the property or anything. But when I get a callback, if I do, I don't have no problem with going back out to the property. I don't have no problem with helping a person rectify the situation. But a lot of times, inspectors like, man, I already inspected the house. You already paid me. I'm done. Right. You know, call your real estate agent. You know, they do that quick. Some real estate agents be like, call the inspector. Everybody pass off. I'm like, hold up. Let's see what's going on. Let me see what I can do to help you. You know what I'm saying? And that right there, that separates you from the next person because a lot of people, they don't want to provide that type of service.
I had that experience with you. You care if I share that experience?
Sure.
Tell us about
it. We had a property out in Brandon. No, Ackee. Yeah, and I think, and again, we all human because we ain't none of us perfect in the profession that we in. It's just more about our consistency in regards to what we do because the good ones rarely make mistakes, which, you know, we do at times. But bottom line is, I think at that point, Jason, he inspected the entire property. But I think when he did the report, he accidentally, I think you copied something.
I missed the comment. I made the wrong comment about the roof.
Okay.
Made the wrong comment about the roof.
Okay.
And the owner, which was actually somebody that I knew.
Yeah, he knew the owner.
I knew the owner. But needless to say, the owner was going to give Jeremiah's client a concession.
Okay.
Of like $5,000 or something like that.
Okay.
So the client was like, so Jeremiah said, he don't want to give it to him. So I was like, all right, I missed the comment. I give him $5,000.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So people don't do that. You know, but that's me standing on principle. That's just the type of person I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I carry over $2 million in insurance.
Right.
So why am I pay a $10,000 deductible when I could just pay out of pocket? It don't make any sense.
Right.
That wasn't something that would affect my insurance, but that's just the type of person I am. Hey man, look, he want to get the house. Don't stop him from getting the house because it's a good house. I give him $5,000.
Accountability, that's huge, bro.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be. You have to be. I find ways to write it off anyway.
We need those too. So that's pretty impressive. So that's one of the things that separates yourself is you're accountable and you show up by coming out that pocket. You know the best place to really find out how somebody really loves you, appreciates you, holding themselves accountable is what? Dig into that pocket. That changes a whole lot of game on here.
Yeah, it don't bother me.
It's good that you had 5,000 to give though.
That's
There you go, man.
So talk to me, because there are, and I say this a lot, man. Jay and I know there's 50,000 realtors just out here, just doing whatever they feel like doing. But there's only a small percentage that's really doing good work.
Oh,
How do you wean out, or how do you respond to people, because there's going to be more bad agents than there are good agents. That's just the numbers on what it is. How do you wean out those people that always want to blame inspectors for butchering deals? It's your fault. You messed up the deal. Not the house, but you as the inspector. How do you handle that?
Inspectors don't pick houses.
Inspectors don't pick houses.
We don't pick houses. It's like a homicide detective. We don't commit the crime. You know, we just tell you what's going on. So,
but you couldn't like leave that out to make the deal work.
why would I do that? Why would I risk my livelihood so you can make money?
Right.
That tells me a lot about you.
Facts.
So you see what I'm saying? That tells me a whole lot about you.
Right.
So
right.
you would rather me act like I'm blind to something that I see, so you can have a deal go through. Then later on down the line, you will throw me under the bus and say, "Hey, he did that."
Yeah, you ain't catch it. You ain't put it in
Exactly.
there.
So that's not my job.
Right.
So I inspect every house as if I'm purchasing it.
Okay.
Most people that's purchasing a home, they already afraid. They already nervous.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they walk in the home 10, 15 minutes and they're in love with it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because they're in love with what they see.
Right.
So nothing is inspected at that time. And then they put a contract out on the house. But then when you become educated on what you didn't see, it's still your agent's job to help you negotiate
Right.
what you want.
Right.
Most agents ain't good at negotiating. That guy right there to the right of you, I seen him do some things. I was like, how you?
That's a bad man.
But it's all about knowing contracts. It's all about having principles too.
Right.
Because a lot of times you have real estate agents who don't even explain to them clients. I've seen people don't even know if they purchasing a house as is. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what type of deal they got. They don't know what type of loan they had. Which means the agent didn't share that information with them.
Right.
Agent didn't share with them that once you get the inspection, we're gonna sit down and go over everything in a report to negotiate these. They didn't tell them that. So the person walks through the house say, I gotta do that, or they gotta do that if I'm buying this house.
And that first thing you say, this is not your house.
It's not your
It's
house.
not your house yet. Like, why are you worried about all this stuff? It's not your
I
house.
tell them all the time, look, when you meet somebody and you see all these red flags, do you say, I don't want to deal with that, or do you say, I'm gonna deal with the red flags and I'm gonna fix it myself? You know,
Right.
so it's not your house. So why would you walk through a house saying, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, this house has all these issues? You liked it at first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you liked it at first, but now you find out what's going on. Still give yourself an opportunity to negotiate.
Right.
That part goes out the window.
Right.
Because we hear all negative stories about homes, so as soon as you see something wrong, that's really not even serious, and they ready to back out. But you got to realize, a lot of people come from apartments where you have a maintenance man.
person, right.
You can call the leasing office. This ain't right. So they used to doing that. They're not used to being responsible for a house.
Right. And there's ways too as agents to really combat that, right?
Yeah, before they even get there, like I think
Yeah.
one of the conversations that we have with clients, we should have, is, well, one of the misconceptions, most people think the home inspector works for the bank. A lot of clients
Yeah, they
like,
do. They do.
I'm getting a home inspector, they work for the bank. Who gonna order it? Who gonna do this? So I already set the foundation for them. Like, listen, the home inspector works for you. You're paying the home inspector. How can the bank hire this person and you're paying for them?
Right.
So at the end of the day, the inspector works for you, and his job is to find any and everything so that you won't buy a liability. This is supposed to be an asset for you, but you won't buy a liability if you come in here and your foundation jacked up, your electric jacked up, your plumbing jacked up, and then 6 months later, now you calling your agent talking about the house falling apart.
Right.
No, it's our job to make sure that you're buying a good product. And so follow our lead, follow his lead. So don't get upset if you get a report. This is one of the things I tell them. Would you rather spend $500 or $600 on a home inspection and lose out on a house, versus buying a house that's $400,000 and then got to come in here and spend $20,000, $50,000, $60,000 on repairing something.
Right.
Think about the logic. You just that $400 or $500 is an investment actually,
Right.
and that's what I tell my clients.
Now that's dope. I know when you came in and you did that training for us, you broke down the
Parts of the inspection.
Yeah, you used it as body parts. Run that for the people, man. Like that was dope, bro. I was in there like, yo, this is crazy.
Well, that's everything in
That's
life.
dope.
You know, everything.
So they can understand it, right?
Yeah, everything in life has central elements to it.
Right.
Whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a home, whether it's your body, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a business, you have different entities to it that make it one.
Mm-hmm.
So every entity has a certain value. So when you're talking about a home, the home, first thing you want to be concerned about is structure. If the home has structural issues, that's the biggest red flag. I don't like to use the word major or minor, but that's the biggest thing that you want to be concerned about.
Right.
Is the house structurally sound?
Right. Not falling down, not
That's
leaning
what
to
you
the-
want to know.
not
Structure,
leaning
is
to
the house structurally sound? Do the house have good bones?
Right.
That's what you want to know first. Secondly, you want to make sure that the house is environmentally friendly. You know, you want to make sure that it's safe, that it's habitable. That's all. I don't care if you're doing FHA. I don't care if you're doing VA, conventional.
Right.
That's all the underwriter is concerned about, because they're giving you a loan on a product, and all they want to know is, will this product stand up so we can obtain our mortgage, we can get our money back.
Right.
So if you're walking into a house and you're looking at doorknobs and drywall, they don't care about
Right,
that.
right.
They want to make the house, is it structurally sound?
Right.
Is it safe and habitable? So we know that there's no environmental issues going on in the house. Is the electric up to par? Is the HVAC system up to par? Is the plumbing up to par? That's what they're looking at.
Right.
So it's easier for me, what I've learned, to explain to a layman, you know, about a house by equating it to their body or to a vehicle. So your electric is your central nervous system.
Okay.
So you purchase a house and it has inadequate electric, it's like meeting someone and they have some serious mental health issues. Because, of course, if you, right now, you just start knocking over it, they're going to say, Marc blew a fuse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's short fused. They're going to equate the electric to the brain.
Right.
All right? Your lungs or your respiratory tract is your HVAC system. So,
How you breathe.
right, how you breathe. The house has to breathe. So older houses, brick houses, hold more energy than newer houses.
Okay.
Newer houses is just wood, and they make them so airtight that they are more conducive to mold growth, which coming from your HVAC system than anything. So air and water are the same element, just in different forms. All right. So that'll be the respiratory tract or the lungs of the house.
Okay.
So just imagine if you had pneumonia, that's bacteria built up in your lungs. A dirty HVAC system, it's the same concept.
Gotcha.
Same concept. And it's going to blow through the house, then everybody becomes sick.
Right.
Everybody's back and forth to the ER with allergies.
Okay.
Then you go with the plumbing, the veins of the house, the heart of the house. That's how the house pushes water through every fixture through the house. So that'll be your heart.
Right.
And of course your structure is just your bones. That's the bones of the
Right.
framing of the house.
That's dope.
You know, so it's the same thing. You got a car, you got a gas tank, you have a radiator, you know what I'm saying? You have an engine. It's the same concept. You go into a hospital, you have one hospital, Washington Hospital Center, but then you got radiology,
Right.
cardiovascular,
Right.
you know, pediatrics. So you have all those different components that make up one,
Right.
you know,
Right,
and it's the
right.
same thing with a house. Same thing.
Nah, that's dope. Yeah, so
Same
that,
thing.
the body parts, I thought that was pretty interesting. How that
Yeah, it's
came
the-
out.
that's
I was
the
like, yo,
easiest way
people
you can explain
understand.
it. It's the
People can
easiest
understand when
way.
they can see that, right?
Yeah.
I got, oh, okay, this is what that's
Easiest
what
way.
I'm doing.
Easiest way.
Right. So, do you recommend that everybody gets a home inspection when they on a house? Like,
I
is that
recommend that everyone get a home inspection with a house.
regardless of the condition of the house.
Regardless,
Even new
regardless.
construction.
Even new construction.
Absolutely.
Because see, new construction, this is what people don't, a lot of people don't know, builders don't fall under the same guidelines. Because the builders in the county or the city, they work in unison. Because you thinking, if you're a builder, you're telling the county or the city, I'm going to put 200 houses right here
Right.
to build this community for the people in this area.
Right. So we gonna get taxes and y'all gonna eat.
Exactly.
Right.
So a builder and a general contractor have different guidelines. General contractor guidelines are more strenuous than the builder. And the county, when they come out and they say that they inspect things, they don't actually touch and investigate things. They just look, okay, you pulled a permit for that? Okay, that's right there. I done been to new construction properties and they have passing permits and the stuff not even there.
It's not there?
It's not even there. I done seen they pass electrical and it's not even finished. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So yeah, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. And because people they have people on their team that go behind them.
Right.
You know, they go behind them and look, but they still they not there to tell them, hey, this not right or this not right. They really not inspecting the house either.
Interesting.
And they don't have your best interests at heart for the most part. A house I just did a mold remediation on now, 5 years old. And you know when you get a house,
remediation.
I did a mold remediation. 5-year-old house.
Sheesh.
This house had foundation issues, but the warranty, because when you get a new construction, they say you got a 10-year foundation warranty.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But they say you got 1 year to do a yearly inspection.
Yes.
If there's anything going wrong.
Yes.
So after that year, you on your own.
Facts.
So this house had foundation issues. They called Ryan Holmes, and Ryan Holmes said, we're not responsible for that.
Yo, that's it. They called him. Yo, that's it.
But they got a 10-year and we in 5 and they got, so why you not responsible?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of red tape with what they be saying.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of red tape.
Yeah, no, that's good to know, man. For people that's out there too, getting home, it sounds like so home inspection is needed for everybody. But how about, I guess, when do you not need a home inspection? Because my thing is more so investors, if they renovate and all that, are they like an exception to the rule?
No, I don't see why not. Because investors hire contractors. Contractors don't know what inspectors looking for. So if you're an investor and you hire Jay, who's a contractor, he come fix the house up, you still put that house on the market, that house gonna get inspected.
Right.
So that inspector comes through and he's gonna say,
but some of them want to beat the system if hopefully the inspector don't catch X, Y, and Z and they can kind of cut some corners. That's the
depending on his competency level.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That's on the sell. What about the acquisition? Like
why not? Yeah.
Like if I know I'm going to replace the HVAC. If I know I'm going to replace the plumbing and just say electric. Let's just say the bones. Mm-hmm. Let's say I'm going to replace those. Do I still need a home inspection or no?
That's when I would, me personally.
Yeah.
It depends on his competency. I'm a 203K consultant, so I facilitate projects from beginning to end, bones, studs, everything. So I would get a 203K consultant to walk through the property with me.
That makes sense.
Because it's the same thing, but it's more detailed.
That makes sense.
So now he can tell, and plus if you have an inspector background, he can tell you, hey, you're gonna need to install this. Mm-hmm. This gonna cost you this, and excuse me, when you get it inspected, then you will be good to go. So you kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Right. Talk to the people now, real quick about, I know long stuff, the 203K. What is a 203K for the people that now don't even know what that is, right? You know, because you just add.
Well, that's what you see on HGTV a lot of times.
Okay.
You see 203K is a renovation loan.
Okay.
You can do it in multiple ways, different ways. But let's just say, for example, you purchase a property and the property is in horrible condition. Mm-hmm. You can use the equity up front to renovate it like you want. Mm-hmm. That's the 203K.
Okay. And you're on that list where they'll use you and your company to go in there and investigate and stuff like that.
Yep, and do the write-up, do the estimate, do the projected costs, facilitate the whole project with the bank, the contractor, and the client.
Gotcha.
From beginning to end, the architect.
You do a lot, man.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
He's going to use my line. He's going to use my line.
You didn't say that earlier on. We do the introduction. You said environmental and inspection. You ain't say nothing about 203K.
I don't tell people that until they try to tell me what I'm not. Like people say, you're not a contractor, and then well, I am. You're not an electrician. Well, I was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then you know, because there's always people tell you, well, are you this, are you that?
Right.
Actually, I am.
Yeah.
You know, so you get, you get that, like you were saying, from a lot of agents or a lot of people that's selling the house. Well, you don't know. Sorry to tell you, I do.
So what type of people, and you know, this is intriguing for me too, man. What type of people? Because a lot of people go get their real estate license. I know that we know that everybody's signing up for that every monthly. I don't know what the home inspection process is for getting a license, but what type of people do you recommend should kind of go into the home inspection field versus who should kind of stay away?
I don't think no one should stay away. I mean, it's very, on the back end it's lucrative, but it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading. Education, getting educated all the time. But if you're not willing to bet on yourself and take a chance, you know, because you have to create your own security. Even if you're a real estate agent, you creating your own security, you creating your own wealth, you creating everything yourself. Well, we're so accustomed to working 8 hours a day, opposed to, and it's the security that I'm gonna work here because this job has benefits instead of creating your own. That's financial literacy. So a lot of people are afraid to create wealth on their own. They're afraid to bet on themselves. So they need a pillar case, or they need a push. They need somebody to hold their hand because they don't want to fail. That sense of I might fail, how I'm gonna do this, that causes people to become fearful. I've never been like that. You know, I started out as a barber, so I was always independent. So I know if I don't get up, I'm not gonna make no money. But as long as I got the opportunity to get up every day, I got an opportunity to make money, to make a difference. You know.
So, and I guess now too, before we wrap up real quick,
it's over already?
Yeah, we just.
I'm not in 3 hours for this, man. I told him I want to come to the choir rehearsal and everything.
We out here, man. We out here. So as far as your business is concerned, because you just talked about it, networking, getting up every day, and this is a podcast for, like I said, make it your own podcast. People really got to have that mindset to make it your own, right? So at what point, I guess, is your business more so now just all referral based? Is it still marketing, advertising that you have to go out there to drum up business? Like how does that play out as a home inspector? We know what it is on the real estate side as far as agents, but building those relationships with agents and stuff.
Honestly, I never went out and passed out flyers. I never did that.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that your client is your biggest business card. You treat people right, they're gonna refer you. You know, I never went out, real estate agents, hey, call me, you need an inspection. I've never done that. The client. And your work. That document goes across people's face. That report, whatever you write, that's you. That's a sign of you. That's your signature. So that fingerprint, if it's going across the underwriter, it's going across, it's going across people. How well you perform the actual job in a time frame, all that is important. That's your biggest marketing tool.
Nah, you're right. So those people that did not just hear what Jason said, you need to take care of your clients. They are your biggest asset, your biggest referral, biggest business card.
Do you consider your client being the agent, or do you consider your client being the actual buyer?
My client is the person that paying me.
The reason why I asked that question, because I believe in most cases, and correct me if I'm wrong because it's your field, from what I understand or seen in my tenure of being an agent, most agents refer home inspectors versus clients referring them to other clients.
They do.
So, but you still, obviously the person that's paying is the client, but your referrals typically come from the agent.
Agent is an affiliate. If the agent is referring me, they're an affiliate of my brand, and I'm an affiliate of their brand. Because they're creating a brand. You wouldn't recommend someone that you wouldn't rely on.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. I wouldn't recommend someone that I wouldn't rely on. So people that care about their brand, people that care about people that work with a sense of integrity, they're going to interact with each other. It's like wealthy people. Wealthy people only deal with wealthy people. They're not going to deal with poor people. You know what I'm saying? They're just not going to deal with that. So you network with like-minded people, and that's how you stay afloat. That's how you stay strong. And so the agents that care about their brand, they will utilize people that provide quality service and people that they know will take care of their client.
Absolutely.
So that's just like you say, hey, I'm gonna use him, and this is why I'm gonna use him. And then if your client calls you and they say they have an issue, and call Jason, he'll handle it. You know that. But if you know that this person won't handle it, you're not going to interact with it.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
The client who pays, yo, copy, Roger. So that's what. Anything else? We good?
No, I'm good.
You good?
He tried to see if he's my friend. That's what he tried to do.
No, hey.
On national television, he tried to see if he's my friend, man. Come on, man. You already know you my friend.
Go ahead,
Come on, man.
man. Listen,
Hey,
Man,
man,
check the temperature, man. I gotta check the temperature and see
He
what
wild
exactly
dude,
you
man. He
said
tried to throw
that
that. He worse than me, but he thought I was gonna do that.
He wanted to beat you to the punch.
Yeah, he good, dude. He
So,
good.
hey, let
He
everybody know real quick how to get in touch with you, how to find you on social media, all that kind of stuff. Leave them with some
Social media, Instagram is aframebc.com. I think it's .com. No, it's no .com.
Instagram is A-Frame
A-Frame BC.
Yeah, that's Instagram. You on Facebook?
That's my no business.
Hey, so they got marketers that aren't on social media and still get to that bag. So don't blame it on social media that you can't get to the bag when they actually prove it sitting right here in the seat saying, I get to that bag without being on social media. So, just understand that that's the case. But any last tips for the people real quick on
Get an inspection. Get an inspection and stop worrying about the price. And get a radon test, a radon gas test with your inspection.
It is. You got it.
There you go. That's
Anything
in the
else?
business, man.
Yo.
Jason Munson, man.
Baby.
Just to let y'all know, let me tell y'all one quick story.
Oh,
about
here
Jason.
you go.
No, I'm not
Got 2-8 stories.
No, it's not a story. No,
Bring it.
No,
to them,
as a
them.
successful realtor in the business, I would definitely say that I will recommend Jason number one when it comes to his value in regards to what he brings to a report. I've been dealing with Jason for 8 years in regards to the real estate side of things, and I've got very minimum amount of complaints. If not, only one I can remember is the one that he spoke on earlier. And so at the end of the day, that's what brings value to my business, which is why I will always refer Jason as my number one home inspector. So A-Frame is number one. They get great service. You're going to have fun at your inspection. Your inspection is not boring. The guy cracking jokes, you laughing, having a good time at every inspection, which is very critical because I think it doesn't have to be serious.
Be uptight.
All day long. Everybody is focused on what they love, X, Y, and Z. Jason turns it into a fun environment at the same time educating you. And I think that is very valuable, which is why I always say, as an agent, our number one job is education. Number one, before we do anything else, we want to make sure we educate our clients, and Jason does that even in his business in regards to inspection. So A-Frame, man, is the number one inspection company out here, in my opinion.
And your opinion, my opinion, A-Frame Building Consultants in the building on real estate.
And shout out to Shields, man. Yeah, Shields.
Yo, Shields. Yo, A-Frame, But we out here. Listen, if you need a home inspector, definitely holler at him. Wanted to bring him out here. We back here again on Make It Your Own podcast. Myself and Jeremiah as the host. We out here letting you guys know. Until we see it again, you are dope people. So get at us. Peace.
That's good.